Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Zing Zing RC, and today we're putting the Quick Run Hobbywing 1060 in the Mauler. Alright guys, welcome back. So recently I did an unboxing on this and said I was going to put it in my Mauler to run it on 3S. Well, that's what we're going to be doing today. So you saw the unboxing before. I'm going to get straight into this video because it's going to be a little bit of a long one, but stick with us. You get to see the Mauler run on 3S at the end. So we're going to start tampering with this, putting on the new connection, getting it all in the Mauler, and then we'll take it for a run. So let's get on with it. I'm going to get on with soldering the XT60. So it's always handy to have a good few of these connectors. So we've got the XT60 connector. I also use the male side just to help hold it a little bit better. Alright, so we've got everything ready. So I'll have a quick run through of what, the basics, what you're going to need to do any kind of soldering. So you've obviously got your connector now. For little jobs like this, where it's nothing too strenuous, I just like to use one of these type of crocodile grip things, and that's just, it's got a lot of tension in that, and it's just enough just to hold your connector so it's facing up nicely. You're obviously going to need your solder. Now this is just cheap stuff I bought off eBay. There's nothing fancy about this, but I've done all my batteries with it and it does the job. Also, you want some wire wool or something similar to clean your solder tip. Now I don't mess around buying proper fancy stuff. I literally got these from Pound Stretcher, 3 wire wool balls for £1, and they've served me well ever since. You want some kind of flux, some solder paste, again super cheap, you can get this for like 99p. Obviously you want your shrink wrap, and the rest of it's optional. I mean, you can use scissors, but I use some wire snips. Again, you can get these from B&M, anywhere like that, pound shop. Really cheap, a couple of quid. Now I like to use these. Now these are proper wire snips. You grip and they'll rip the wire clean off you, but you don't have to. You can still use these. You can still use scissors. You just have to be a little bit more careful. You want a sponge, a nice wet sponge. That's to clean your soldering tip. You want your soldering iron. Now this, I think this only cost me about £20, but you definitely want something with adjustable heat. I aren't sure what the wattage is on this, but I'd say at least you want a 40 or 50 watt soldering iron. Don't hold me to this. This is just my opinion. I did have a 30 watt one before, and it just didn't really cut the mustard. I also use a flat tip, kind of like a chisel tip. I don't know whether you can see that. I need to focus on it for me. There we go. Use a bit of like a chiseled tip. For this one, just helps transfer the heat a little bit better. And last of all, I probably won't use these today, but when I've done higher gauge wire, like for my lipos and stuff that need a lot more heat transferring, I do use some of these, and that's simply just so I don't have to hold the wire, as it does get very hot, and you can just hold the wire with these and guide it where you need to go with your iron. So let's get on with it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is obviously plug your iron in. Now for this one, I have it set to about, I don't even know what the number is, so about 300 on the iron, and that usually does the job for me. So we're going to plug the iron in, and you don't just want to leave your iron stood for too long either. Make sure you've only got it plugged in and ready to go when you're ready to do the job. There's no point just leaving your iron sat there for ages on, because you're just gonna ruin your tip basically. So while that's heating up, we'll quickly snip the wires, and you'll see how easy it is with this. So you don't need a ton of wire exposed, just a little bit will do. And maybe go a tiny bit more than that. There we go. Do the same on that one. There we go. Now you want to make sure you've got the positive on an XT60, the flat side of the connector. So what I'd call the bottom is the positive. So this rounded edge, this hexed edge, is the negative, and the the square side is the positive. So we've got them done. So the first thing you want to do is tin both sides. So we're going to get our soldering paste. Give your wires a bit of a twist just to keep them together, and I just literally just perk them in to the soldering paste right there. Do the same with the other wire. Now this is me just showing you how I solder things, and it's worked for me so far. Do not take my word as gospel. There is far superior people who solder way better than me. Like, in all intents and purposes, I'm still pretty rubbish, but I think I've finally gained the confidence now to show people like myself. I mean, I'm not a DIY person in any way, shape or form. Like, I'm no good with my hands, so RC Hobby has certainly taught me a thing or two, and you know, got me a little bit better at that stuff. But what I'm saying is, if I can do this, you sure as shit can do this. So we're just going to add a little bit of solder onto the iron, and this just really helps to transfer the heat. And then you just want to touch your connector, and that should I might have it a little bit hot, to be honest. Oh no, there we go. And we're just going to fill up the connectors with the solder, so when you come to put your wiring in there, it flows in really nicely. Do the same again on the other side. So we've still got solder on the iron. If not, just add a little bit more. Alrighty, so we've tinned both of them now. We've got the flux on the wire. So next thing you want to do is you want to get your shrink wrap. So it's up to you how you do this. Obviously shrink wrap doesn't matter which colour goes to which, but to keep it nice and tidy, nice and neat, I like to stick with the colour coordination, so red on red, black on black. Job's a good one. And we're just going to tin these wires a little bit, so get your solder. Again, just don't know, well, you can see all this. I'm not really looking at the camera at the minute, I'm just trying to focus on getting the job done. And we're just going to let that solder, and you'll see it bubbling at the bottom, and the flux just helps it flow through the solder. And then literally all you have to do is get your wire, hold it into the solder, I mean, if you're not, I mean, these are quite small wires, so I'm probably going to fill it up around it a little bit. I'll just give that a little clean. Alright, so that's that one done. I'm pretty happy with that, it's not too bad. Now I've just put my pliers onto that plastic bit because it was moving around a little bit, and that's not good. But I'm actually just going to add a little bit more solder into. So let's get rid of that. That's why you should really have it on a reel. But budget boys knows best, don't you worry, folks. So I'm just going to give that tip a little bit of a clean, put it in there. I'll just make sure that's nice and full, nice and full. So like I say, when we come to put this wire in, there's going to be no hassle. We can heat that up nicely and just sink it in there. Give that a few seconds to dry. Cool down, should I say dry? I'm really, I'm not too happy with that red one though. I'm gonna do that one again, I think. So just again, you definitely need solder on your tip, folks. It really just helps transfer that heat. I mean, I probably could have raised my temperature up slightly, but I'm not going to bother. But I'm just not happy with that connection. And you want to make sure you're happy with your connections, because if you're not, you know, it brings doubt into things. If things aren't working, it's going to bug you. So I just want that to be nice and full, absolutely rammed with solder. There we go. So then when I put this back in, I don't have to hold it for long. I can sink it in there. Perfect. It's actually a really good joint for me. Just give that a minute. And what you want to see from your solder, I'm going to show you this one because I'm quite impressed with it. I'm quite happy with that. So you want a nice, I mean there is quite a bit of solder on there, but we want a good connection. You want a nice shiny joint. And that way, you know, you've got a good connection. And to be super confident, you know, give them a little bit of a tug. Make sure that you can't just pull them straight off. And then you just want to push your shrink wrap over. And if it's still hot, it might just start doing the shrink wrap for you slightly. You know, for a brief moment there, folks, I had an absolute panic moment. I thought I'd soldered the wrong end onto the ESC. Why haven't? We're good. We're good. So normally, I would suggest using a heat gun, and I have got a heat gun just down here. But the time of filming this, it's 11:30 at night. Missus is in bed. Both kids are in bed, so I'm not going to use the heat gun. I'm gonna find a lighter, and I'm just gonna lick the wires with the flame, and that'll just help them suck them in. Voila, it's here. So this is my lovely wife's candle lighter, and then has that cooled down at all? So it's cooled down a bit now, so we can pull that other connector off, and then I'm literally just gonna get the lighter, hold it a little bit underneath, and just lick the flame with it, and making sure it's surrounded all the way around. Just let that heat get on it. And that'll do ya. And there you go. Now soldering is definitely something, it's easy to learn but difficult to master, and that's something I have learned. So, you know, really take your time, and if you've got some old connections or some old electronics, just have a play, you know, have a play just messing around with it, soldering some wires, taking it back off, soldering it again, taking it back off, and just get your hand, you know, get your muscle memory used to doing them motions and being able to handle an iron, and yeah, it does come with like anything, you know, muscle memory and stuff. The more we do stuff, the more it becomes easier. Our brain programs us to be able to do them more efficiently. So practice is all it is. Practice, practice, practice. Don't ever say you can't do it, because you can't. Trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. So that's the ESC with the XT60 on there now. So I think it's time we get it in the mauler. Alright, so we've got the mauler on the bench now. I've taken the shell off, and we're slowly just going to start working on removing the ESC and basically putting everything else in place. So let's get on with it. And I think that'll do us. I think we're good. So now for the moment of truth. Now these are all on storage charge, so I'm only going to plug it in for a second, but and we're on. So it's worked.
Subscribe to me.
So off camera, I just broke it. Full throttled it on some dusty mud. It kind of span out and I banged into the wall, didn't I? Snapped my steering arm straight off. So Mauler's down for now, but I must say 3S is awesome. So yeah, that's it for this one, folks. Mauler's down. I'll get it fixed. I'll order a new steering arm. But Hobbywing 1060, 3S LiPo, champion. Tons of fun. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz down below. I will get somewhere better with it. I really want to take the boys somewhere proper with them. So we will get there eventually. But as for now, you have to deal with that slow-mo dusty jumping. But I hope you enjoyed it anyway. See you in the next one, folks. Take it easy.